Welcome to today's episode of Between Neens and Deens. My name is Nina, and I'm joined by my best friend, partner, and baby daddy, Dayon.
And together, we're a couple of 20-something-year-olds just trying to navigate this whole first-time parenting thing.
So we're laying it all out there and talking about all the things you wish your parents told you about love, sex, and happiness. So somebody actually DM'd us recently asking us to talk all about success. And particularly, I believe she wanted to know whether or not we consider ourselves successful. At what point do you consider yourself successful? And this got me thinking a lot about, I guess,
imposter syndrome.
Yeah, imposter syndrome, which is a really big part of it. But I guess just what success means to me. And it's changed so much over the years and even the course of what I do. So I guess for anybody that's kind of unfamiliar with what we do, I've been doing content creation, I guess is what I'll call it. Or you could call it like influencing, being an influencer. I've been doing that for about 4 years now. 3 of those years full-time. And I would say that I consider myself to be successful, but that measure has always changed. And so like in the very beginning, I felt like if I have 10,000 followers, I have 50K subscribers, it was all numbers based. If I made $1,000 in a campaign, then that's when I would consider myself to be like a real influencer. Like I would actually be successful. And then once, the thing is like, why that doesn't work is because once you hit that mark, then it's like, okay, but I don't feel the way that I thought success would make me feel. I'm not happy still. I'm not, I'm not able to do it full time. I'm not, like, I feel like when
a new goal gets set.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like I had all these measures of what I thought success was, but I didn't realize that what I was really doing is like, what I want is a stable job that's going to help me pay my bills. I want a job that's going to allow me to quit my other jobs. Like that measure of success changes depending on what your actual goals are. And so when it's numbers based, I had to learn this really early on that any numbers based type goal is not going to be a great measure of success, because at first I tried to fixate on, your social numbers, but then I was like, okay, I'll fixate on, let's make like $50,000. And like what I was really trying to get from success is happiness, is freedom. And that may or may not come with making a certain amount of money or having a certain number of followers. I can almost guarantee you it's not going to happen with a certain number of followers.
So you won't feel like success until you can just be retired and everything is like...
Yeah, that's what my goal is now. My goal is now that that's the thing, is that I do consider myself successful now.
Just one big all-inclusive vacation.
Yeah, that would be like ultra successful. That would be like my creme de la creme. Like what I'm working towards is to, I believe it's called FIRE. I like saw that on Instagram, but it's an acronym for financially independent, retire early or something like that. And that is my goal right now, because I feel like I'm making great money and I do consider myself to be successful. Sometimes I forget it, but what I want to do is retire early as soon as possible, basically. But obviously that's a lot of work to get there, so I'm laying the foundation now. But I guess
I feel like success is just in your own head, like, because it's different for each person.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. That's why
someone's version of success might be owning a yacht and like traveling the world, whereas like that's not even in our views. Like,
yeah, I mean, I would love to, but that's not a priority.
But that's not
for
how
me.
that's not how you measure success.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's the thing, is that for everybody it's gonna be different. So for me, starting out in this type of industry, it was numbers. It was, if I can get enough subscribers, that means I will be a successful YouTuber, and that wasn't true. And I think like over the years, I've had to learn what does success mean to me as an individual, and that's not just like about your work, because I think I had so much focus, and I think we all tend to have so much focus on our careers, and if you're not being productive, then you're not worthy as a person. And I really had to work through a lot of that, and so it's changed. I won't take you through like the whole 4-year journey of like how it's shifted, but for now, what I consider to be success is, I mean, I'm financially independent. I have employees. I am able to fully provide for myself, for my family. I love what I do, although that is not, I would argue that that's not a measure of success. I don't know. I go back and forth on it. We can talk about that more. But I do love what I do. And
that's just for general happiness, I guess.
Yeah, and I generally am like a very happy person. Like, I like the life that I've built for myself. So I would consider myself to be successful, but I don't always feel that way. And I think that that's just because you get wrapped up in kind of the day-to-day that you forget to celebrate your successes. And I feel like, so for example, I know a lot of people have seen like the photos of me in Sephora, and like that's huge, you know, to be doing a campaign with Sephora where I literally worked as a cashier fresh out of high school at Sephora, and I would look at all the girls on, you know, like the little photos like all over the store, and I would be like, holy crap, like how do I become one of those people? Like, even though they're not celebrities, I was like, they're in a store. Like, that's crazy. And then that became me. And, like, I was behind, like, all the cashiers. And it was, like, this huge blown-up photo of me. And I think that because it took so much hard work to get to that place, that when it actually happened, it's not like I'm going from the girl that's working at Sephora to all of a sudden I'm in Sephora. There were so many steps between there. Yeah, there were so many steps between it that, like, it almost made me forget, like, you worked so hard for this, that, like, this is incredible. Like, take a moment to stop and, like, celebrate yourself. And so even though I knew it was a big deal and I was so excited about it, I didn't realize, like, that was my dream. Like, at one point, like, I could never even imagine a reality in which I would be in a store. Like, that was crazy. So, like, I feel like because of, like, the day-to-day and just because of how much you're kind of in the trenches, like, it's very easy to forget what your measure of success was, because it does take so much work to get there. And I feel like that's kind of the same, like, if we think about, like, music artists, you know, like, there's so many artists where you're like, whoa, they just popped up out of nowhere. Like, how do people just pop up out of nowhere? You know, like, how are you just making music in your basement and then all of a sudden, and for some people they do, which is incredible. Like, but
for the most part, they're definitely putting in hours and hours of work. And doing a lot of things behind the scenes too. Yeah.
So I guess for you, because I've been talking a lot, what is your measure of success, and maybe how has it changed?
Yeah, so I guess, like, a little rundown on, like, my life, I guess, like, in my career choices. But I went to school for graphic design, so I guess, like, my measure of success coming out of college was getting a successful job in that. And I've been working freelance for years now, and that's basically just working for myself off of my own clientele. But I would say that I never feel like I've reached success, because I don't think I ever actually did. And that has to do with a lot, like, with my own mental as well. But yeah, like, applying for jobs, never really thought that, like, I would get them, but I just apply for them anyways, and most of the time I won't hear back. But yeah, I guess, like, I always looked at, if I get a job in graphic design, I'm successful. And that's what I kept working towards. And yeah, I don't know, I, like, worked at the print shop, and that felt like I was getting closer, and then I had a lot of clients, and I felt like, all right, you know, I think, like, I'm starting to feel success in this job. But then I realized that I also don't really like doing that job. And yeah, it's hard. I think, like, for me, I get, like, that imposter syndrome, but then also that, like, extreme fear of failure. So I decided to, like, not actually give my all to something and try, you know? So then, like, when I do fail, it's because I know that, like, I didn't try. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of a defense mechanism. And that's kind of how I took on everything, like, even playing basketball, and even, like, with graphic design, I was always, like, too scared to go all in. And then also just, like, that it's like getting torn between, like, two different things constantly. So yeah, when I was, like, doing basketball, I'm like, oh, well, like, you know, I can always just fall back on design. And then when I was doing design, I would, like, maybe try to find something else, you know what I mean? Or, like, oh, I think, like, this is better for me. So, like, it's more of a defense mechanism. So I guess to answer your question in regards to, like, where I see success, I saw it, and I never, like, thought that I could reach it. You know what I mean? And
I guess, well, two questions, they're kind of different, but did you ever feel successful in kind of, like, your basketball career? And, like, I guess, because I would imagine, I know that you played in Serbia, you played college ball, and I imagine that there was a point in time where, you know, if I could play for a team, like, that would be success, you know? Yeah. And then once you get there, like, was it different? I guess because maybe it's different than what you imagined.
I think, yeah, it's very different from what I imagined. And I guess what what I think I could have achieved. And so like, yeah, when I was really pursuing basketball in Serbia, the other thing was that I am considered a citizen. Like I'm a citizen there, so I was considered a local. And then each team can have like 1 or 2 foreigners, and then those foreigners basically get like paid pretty well and like get taken care of. Whereas like if you're actually from Serbia, like they don't really care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even though like I'm coming from Canada and I'm like the Canadian, and then still treated technically as like a local. So my contract, and I put that in parentheses, not really a contract, it was more of like just for me to test out the waters first, was like just to see if I liked the team or not. So I got accepted to a team, but it just didn't feel that great because it wasn't like an amazing team. It was like a lot of young kids as well. And I think a lot of them were younger than me. And I was just like thrown in bunk beds with them and just like not really getting any money, like maybe like free pizza and stuff like that. So it's like, didn't feel success because it just felt like I always tried to gauge it off of like other people and how they felt about it. And I feel like the other teammates also just like, yeah, we're just playing basketball.
Yeah.
Like none of them even looked at it as like successful, that they're like basketball players, you know what I mean? So yeah,
I think that's the thing too, is that like kind of what I was talking about earlier, where you make this idea of what success is going to feel like, what it's going to be like, you know, like you're like, oh, like if I can go play for a team, then I'm going to be, you know, taken care of. And maybe it would have been different if you were treated like a Canadian citizen like, instead of a Serbian citizen.
If I made money and if it was like...
But that's the thing, like maybe not even, you know, like people, like you think like, okay, if I make it to the NBA, if I get drafted, like then that's going to be when I'm successful. But then you get there and you're still like, well, I'm still not happy. Like I still, you know, like there's still so much that you want to do, or like, I feel like that's the thing about success, is that you think that once you're going to feel a certain way.
And everyone's contract is different. And then you look at like, why is this guy getting paid so much? And I'm so-and-so or whatever, right? So it's like...
Well, there's always something.
There's always like something. And I think like that has a lot to do as well as like looking at other people. And like I said before, like I would base my success when I'm in a situation based on other people around me, right? So if I was we're talking about the basketball team, like if I was in the same position with all those people on the basketball team, I would try and see how they feel about it. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting.
If they felt like this is it, this was my dream and I made it, and they're content being in that basketball team, then I maybe might be, I don't know, I think I was just weaker back then too, but I just might be like manipulated to believe the same thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If everyone's like, yo, this is the craziest thing, I can't believe we made it here.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, holy fuck, yeah, I can't believe we're here. Like, yeah, sure, we're sharing a bunk bed, but let's go.
Yeah, I love this. Bunk bed dreams.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, so I always like, I guess, and that's the problem with like, you know, with how a lot of people say like with social media, how it does affect your mental, is because when you look at it, you're like, well, this person's, you know, driving this car, this person is basically doing the same thing as me, but for some reason they're making more money and doing more things, and it's like, why aren't I there, and how can I get there? Do you know what I mean? So I guess your level of success is constantly changing, or like what you view as success. So
I feel like also then how does our idea of success and allowing it to change as you grow, how do you balance that with like staying humble? Because I feel like, you know, like, okay, so say for your case where it's like, okay, like if I sign a contract that's super great and I get like a really nice car and I'm driving a really nice car, then like that's my level, or that's like what I would consider to be successful. But then like, is there a point where it's like, it's just not enough for you, you know, like you just constantly want more? And I feel like for my own experience, like it's constantly checking in with myself and being like, okay, but you know that like you're living really well right now, and this is something you could only have dreamed about. And so like it's constantly having to like ground yourself and like check in with yourself. So I guess like
blessings.
Yeah,
I think the main takeaway for me was just because it was never something that gave me the financial stability and freedom that I felt like I wanted and needed. So that's where I guess like no one on the team felt successful, and neither did I. Because it's like we're playing basketball, but in the same time, what are we doing? Yeah. Because like we're not really making money. We're getting enough to like make it through.
Yeah.
But not if we wanted more in life. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's where the position that we're in now, I personally feel like we're pretty successful because like we're able to.
So for you, money is success.
I would say freedom is success.
And money buys freedom.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is
Money
that,
can't buy me happiness, but
Yeah.
I'm the happiest when I can buy what I want.
yeah, that's a song, but
That is a song.
yeah, I feel like one of the biggest myths about happiness or about success is that it will bring you happiness, and that's what I had to learn really early on in this career, just and in anything in life, is that like happiness is not guaranteed by anything. It used to be if I get a boyfriend, then I'll be happy. If I make enough money, I'll be happy. If I'm successful, whatever that means, I'll be happy. But none of those things are guaranteed. And what I think we've come to learn is that freedom, time, money so that you can buy you things to live comfortably, not being in debt, things like that those things lend itself more to you being happier.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I would say so. Because having Blue in our life is just like such a feeling of like extreme joy and happiness.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And but being able to, and that's the thing, it'll constantly change too as he gets older, where it's like we might feel like we need more money. We need to work harder and just be better.
I'm still there.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? But to be able to really afford the best life for him, because ultimately what now in my life, what brings me joy is to see him happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what can we do to make all of our lives better, and especially his?
Yeah. I think that's the thing, is that I think for this person that asked us this question, I think the assumption even in the question is that we are successful. I think to a lot of people, we seem very successful. And I would say that that's yes and no, because it really does go back to how you're measuring it. And if success is finding a life partner, then I would consider myself to be successful. If success is being financially independent, then I would consider myself to be successful. But
if we talk about owning property, we don't own property.
Yeah, exactly. But then
So
when you look at all the things we want to do with our life, I want to retire early, I want to buy properties, I want to buy investment properties, I think that I've kind of let go of the idea of at one point in my life I will consider myself to be successful, because there are so many blessings in our life. And even before I met you, even before I had Blue, even before I had this career, I was in college. I was the first person in my family to go to college, and that made me a very successful person. So I feel like part of imposter syndrome is not being able to celebrate your successes and not being able to see your successes and experience self-doubt even when you're very clearly successful. So I think a lot of it is tied to perfectionism and the idea that we're always so hard on ourselves. And everyone that I know, I feel like our generation gets a lot of slack, but everybody that I know is so hard on themselves and so unable to see how amazing and spectacular they are.
I feel like that's human nature.
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with perfectionism. I think we just want
even the people that
best.
You think is perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's probably especially the people that you think have it all together.
Yeah.
It's immense pressure to put on yourself. And I don't remember what I was talking about before and where this was going. But I think that the idea...
how it always changes, right?
Oh, yeah. But, how it literally always changes. And it just depends on how you define it. So I think that it's important to kind of let go of that idea that one day I'll be successful. And really relish in the idea that you already are. For a lot of people, just surviving the day is a huge success. And I think that that's something that's important to celebrate. And at the end of the day, our whole life is just a compilation of days on days on days. So if you can survive a day and push through, then you're successful. I don't know. I think that I think that
success is a myth.
It is. I think that thinking that one day if I have what that person has, then I'll be successful, that just causes a lifetime of comparing yourself to other people. And it's a lot of times, for me, before I even started doing social media or having it as a career, I never cared about numbers. I didn't care about followers. When everybody had an Instagram in high school, I was the last person to have it. And so that only became a measure of success when I decided to focus on it. So your measure of success will shift throughout your lifetime. And I think that part of that is also understanding that it's okay to let the importance or value of things change with time as well. Because sometimes when I get so wrapped up in social media and numbers and all this stuff, then I'm just like, I have to ground myself and realize that this is like only a big deal to you because this is your job. You know, for a lot of people, social media is not that important at all. It doesn't have a place in a lot of people's lives. And so it doesn't really mean anything about you as a person, you know, and it's not a great measure of success as a person. So I feel like that's the thing too, is that because my measure of success is always changing, then like sometimes it feels like an addiction where you're always chasing like that next best thing, you know, because like when that Sephora thing happened, I like felt like such a high, and I'm like, yes, like, and then all of a sudden you need something else to compare to that. Like,
it's like, how do I achieve that again?
Yeah, exactly. It's like if I do another Sephora campaign now, it's like, I mean, yeah, that's sick, but like, what's next? I need a billboard, you know, like, so
that's the definition of like addiction.
Yeah,
where it's like
you're
why people get
high.
addicted to like bigger drugs is because when they don't receive the same high, they constantly need to like go for the
so I think that's I think that's why like it's hard for me to say, and like it's so idealistic to say to like let go of trying to chase that idea of success and understand that you're already successful. Like, it's so much easier said than done, because I still feel that way where I'll book campaigns and it's like pays really well with a great brand, something I could only have dreamed of when I was younger, and yet I still feel like, okay, and you know, so, but I feel like a big part of why I don't always feel successful like in my day-to-day, and I forget like all the things that I've accomplished, a lot of it does have to do with imposter syndrome. And I did talk about this in my recent Instagram post, and I feel like especially being like an Asian woman trying to be a boss out here, like it's weird, it's hard. And I feel like this also goes back to like what that podcast episode we were talking about, where like I'm the breadwinner, and that's not something I ever expected, that I ever saw like an example of. I feel like,
and the old me would also feel like that I'm unsuccessful because I'm just leeching off of you.
Yeah,
but now I've come to the realization
my success is your success.
Well, yeah, I've come to the realization
me.
that like I do help you with a lot of stuff. So 100%. It's like I can't just get that imposter syndrome where I'm like, I'm only here because I'm dating you. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, it's more than that. It's literally the whole combination of what we do together. Like, you know what I mean? There's so much to it that I don't stop enough to like think about it. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing, is that I feel like we're so go all the time, especially now with Blue, that it's hard to sit back and really think about like, I made it this far, you know? And I feel like, for me, like I feel like imposter syndrome I've always felt, and I never really knew the word for it, because from time, like I would always downplay everything that I did, and I would just be like, oh yeah, like that, I mean, I blew up on YouTube, but like that's just because like, I don't know, like the video just somehow got picked up, like I don't know, like, and it's just luck, you know? I feel like for me, like there's a lot of different facets of like what imposter syndrome looks like. Too. Yeah, like I feel like it just ends up being like, oh well, it's just luck, or like, oh, it's not that hard, like anybody could do it, really, like, and it just downplays like the work that you actually did to like get to this place. But I feel like I'm trying to be better about seeing imposter syndrome when it's happening, and also realizing like something that's really helped me is realizing that like nobody knows what it is that they're doing, you know? Like all of a sudden I'm 25 years old and I don't know how that happened, because just yesterday I'm like, what the heck, like I'm now an adult and I'm like moving out the house, like I have to find my way in this world, and that still very much still feels like me, even though 7 years have gone by and I now have a child. Like, you never lose that feeling, I don't think, of like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't think anybody really does. Yeah. You know, like at this point, like I have employees, you know, like people that I tell what to do, people that I pay money to do things, and like I never could have imagined that would be my life, and it just happened. And I don't know how that happened at all. But have you had experiences with imposter syndrome?
I've definitely had my feelings of like imposter syndrome. Whereas like even working with clients, the most, especially when I get like compliments from like the client where they're like, yo, I wanted to go with you because like I heard good things from like so-and-so, and they said you're like an amazing designer, and like, I just want like, you know, I want you to put your spin on it, your touch on it, like, because I just really like respect what you like. I know that you know it looks good, and then like in my head right away I'm just like, oh fuck, like I can't do, I don't think I can do this. Can I do this? And I'm like, I'm not gonna give them what they want. And then usually when I like really start feeling that way and getting in my head, like it's that self-fulfilling prophecy where I actually end up giving them something that I also know I don't like, and like, you know what I mean? And then sometimes too, like they're just so in this phase of like, yo, he's dope, that they're like, yeah, I like it. And I'm like, I fucking hate this design. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, you just get in your head too and you get that imposter syndrome. But yeah, I mean, there's days where I don't feel that and I feel like so confident in my designs and, you know, like I'm just killing it. But then there's days where it just hits you so differently and you have that like imposter syndrome where you're like, I don't deserve this. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even
like,
though you do.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of that comes from like the idea that other people know something that I don't know. Like other people are real designers, but I'm not a real designer. You know, like, oh, like they're probably gonna find out soon that like I don't know what I'm doing. And I feel like that's such a, like, I think we both experienced that with imposter syndrome. Like, I definitely feel like, oh, like, that person's, like, a real-ass YouTuber. Like, they, like, really know that, like, how to work their camera and, like, how to edit. And, like, what am I doing? Like, who am I? You know?
But it's funny because it's possible that they also maybe might not. Do you know what I mean?
But that's the thing is that you're just constantly comparing yourself to other people. And I wonder if, like, if we lived in a culture and in a society where it was just so much more transparent, where successful people talked about like how they got there and the struggles that they went through, if it would make people feel less of an imposter syndrome, you know, or less of an imposter. Because I feel like I started to feel less of an imposter once I got, well, it's interesting because I had to get to a level of success in order to talk to other people that I deemed successful. And then once I talked to them, then I realized like, oh my God, we all experience the same things. You know, like you struggle with the same issues that I struggle with. And like, but I thought that you were super successful and you never had to deal with any of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like that's why I really love doing this podcast and just being able to share our life and try to be as transparent as possible, because I don't ever want people to look at our life and be like, it's so impossible to get there, you know, because like, I feel like we kind of talk about all the different steps it took for us, at least in our relationship, for example, of like how to get to a relationship where we feel very comfortable with each other, you know, and it takes a lot of work. And I think that with career, people don't talk about it as much. With money, people definitely don't talk about it enough. And I think that's why we tend to feel like, oh, they're doing it right. I'm doing it and it's working, but I don't think I'm doing it right.
You know what I think is the main thing about that is what we see from other people, and also what like a lot of our listeners and viewers see from us is the finished product and not what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, yeah, because like for instance, someone might be like, oh my God, like their videos or whatever is so seamless and it seems like, you know, like they barely have to edit anything. And maybe let's say that person's like filming a YouTube video at home and they're like, oh my God, like this is trash. Like I have to cut out so much stuff and like it doesn't look good. But what people don't understand or like don't see right from the get-go is that there's also so much garbage that we have to like take out. You know what I mean? There's so many parts where we're like, oh, like why did I say that, or do like can I delete that? You know what I mean? So it's like there's still so many edits that go into what we do, but it's like obviously we're gonna show you the finished product. Do you know what I mean? And then when you see other people, you see the finished product. When you look at like other people's designs, it's the whole finished project, right? Yeah. But you have no idea like all the things that go behind it to make it there. Where, you know, for a designer, you see something that's so sick and you're like, wow, like I can't believe they did that. But like
you don't see the hours.
You don't see how long. Yeah, like, you don't see how long they took to get there.
Drafts that they did.
Exactly, and that's why we doubt ourselves, and that's why I doubt myself with design, is because like I've seen how many garbage designs I have to look at, and literally I'm making it myself. So I'm looking at like all the different phases it goes through, and then I'm like, oh, this sucks, or like, am I making it better? Am I making it better? And I think, oh, this looks good, and then you show someone the finished product, like that looks sick, right? But that's the thing, because like my eyes are already glued to like everything about it, that it's hard to like see it as, wow, that's so amazing.
Yeah, I feel like it's like it takes a combination of realizing that nobody really knows what they're doing, but also being able to recognize the things that you're doing that are great, you know, like, because even though, you know, like you might not see somebody's like progress, you know, to get to that finished product, also acknowledging, like, even though, you know, like it took a lot for them to get there, also acknowledging that it took a lot for them to get there. You know, like that's hard work and perseverance. Like I think that's the difference. Like when people ask me like, how do you become successful on YouTube? Anybody has what it takes. You know, like there are people out there with so many followers that have like videos that are not even edited. They're just fucking streams of thought, but people are so captivated by it and that's their style. But the thing is, the difference between that person and somebody that could make the same exact type of content that isn't successful is most likely because that person pushed through and like kept at it. For me, like what I've experienced in growing a business and like doing this for however long that I've been doing it, like the people that are most successful are the people that believe in themselves and keep going. Like I think keep going is the hardest thing for people to understand, because like you have to realize that for somebody like me, like say if you feel that I am a successful YouTuber, then it's hard to look at my work and be like, oh well, she probably never went through this where she like had to throw away videos because they were so bad, or like because she hated the way that like she edited it or whatever, you know. But like I've been there. I've made so many videos like that I've recorded over and over and over again, and I'm like, I hate it. And like there's a video that I was gonna do all about sponsorships,
and I never did it. But you still have some videos that are up that are like
that are just
so long ago, like you literally know that it was made even
on an
like you didn't but
camera.
You didn't care like whether anyone was watching.
But that's
or not.
The thing, is that
and
like
you kept doing it.
Yeah, and I just kept going, you know. And I think that's the hardest thing, is because you like people get so hard on themselves, and like I do all the time where I get so hard on myself and I'm like, that person probably has never had to deal with this, and the fact that I'm struggling so much means that I'm not going to be successful. But you will be successful if you just keep pushing, just keep getting back up, and like just keep creating content. You know, if that's something that you want to do, I keep referring to this, but that's just because that's what I know. But like if you want to be a successful YouTuber, then you just need to keep creating the content, because the skills will get there. And
just
like
keep doing you, keep being you, like that, because that's the best. Yeah,
it's like what I learned in creative writing class when I was at UBC. It was probably the most important lessons that I think I learned ever in regards to creativity and what we're talking about right now. It was like the difference between skill and what is it, like skill and talent, or I kind of forget. I hate when I'm trying to like explain something and I'm just butchering it. But basically it's but it's basically the idea that
talent is not enough.
It's not that talent isn't enough, but it's that like you can envision, like, but like say I want to become a graphic designer and I'm not one. I can envision exactly what it is I want to design, and then I start on Photoshop and I start to do it, and it just looks like absolute trash, and it doesn't look like anything that I want that's in my head, but I have such a clear vision for it. So it doesn't mean that you're not creative. It doesn't mean that you're not a talented artist. You know, it just means that you don't have the skills. And I think that's where people give up, is because you don't have the skills yet. But the skills are easy to learn. You know, like if you have the vision in your head, like that's usually the hard part. You just have to have the skills to actually put pen to paper, or like be able to render it, or whatever it is. So
yeah, I think that was the most frustrating part when I started editing your videos, was like how I have the vision of how I want it to look, and yet I haven't fully like
figured out how to
do it, you know what I mean? So then it gets real frustrating, and then you feel like it takes so long, which it does, but like, you know what I mean? And then, but it just gets better in time. Like the more you practice and you push through that, like that like feeling of failure and that feeling of like, I don't have what it takes, you know what I mean? Because you just got to push through it. And like, because all those things are just like another muscle you need to exercise, basically.
Yeah. And I think what people don't always realize about success is that success requires a lot of failure. You can't, I think for people that have a fear of failing, that you think that like, oh, like, but I'll find success and that will be it. And yeah, I know.
That's me.
Yeah, that's you. But like, that's the thing, is that you have to get comfortable with failing, because you're not going to be able to find success without failing a couple of times.
Yeah, I see that now.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard for me to like,
because you have a fear of success and a fear of failure. So you like won't do it.
I just
you don't want to fail, but then you won't finish it because you don't want to succeed.
And then like I'm in a position where I'm just like so content with where I am that like when you want more, it scares me, because I'm like, what's wrong with where we are?
Yeah, Dan's so happy with where we are. Probably even like when we moved into our first bedroom, you know, we were like moving out. You were like, yes, success, and then you were like, let's just stay here. And I'm like, nope, we're gonna move. We're moving into a 2-bedroom. And I'm like, nope, we're moving again. And
all that I felt so scary to me. Like Like
Yeah.
moving here felt so scary to me, you know what I mean? But it's like, now that I'm in it, I'm like, ooh,
It's not so
bathtub.
bad. Yeah, it's not so bad here.
No, it feels really nice. Like, yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, I tend to like really stop and count my blessings, and like, I feel like maybe I help you in that sense.
Yeah, you
Where
definitely
I'm
do.
afraid to like fully like go out there, but then I also try to like have you stop and like smell the roses and like
Always.
realize like just how beautiful everything is that we have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I have an amazing coffee machine, and I can make awesome coffee every morning, which is
That
like all I can
success
ask
in
for.
Dion's book.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I feel like we have a level of success where I'm really happy, but like obviously there's always more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But then that's the thing, is that I'm not chasing, at this point now, I think I've recognized that I'm not chasing success.
Yeah.
I'm just chasing a certain lifestyle, or like, you know, like a legacy.
A certain freedom too.
Freedom.
Freedom
Yeah.
and the legacy of your girl Neens.
But yeah, I feel like for both of us, the reason why we have imposter syndrome, well, actually it's kind of different, because this goes to like how the way that we are raised is quite different. So like for me, I feel like I'm a perfectionist because my parents always taught me that like my value was in what I could achieve and in my productivity. And so it was always like achieve, and like being the first person to go to college in my family, like being, I don't know, like financially independent. Like it was always, or like getting straight A's in school. Like it was always a pressure to achieve, and like that was what my worth was. And so I think that's why like I just got addicted to that feeling of success. And it's not even really like validation from my parents, I don't think, but it's just like eventually it was just like a feeling that I could give myself, you know, because it wasn't that I was really looking for them to be like, I'm so proud of you. It was just for me to be like, yes, like I got an A on that. Like, okay, like let's now like, you know, like get a medal in like figure skating or like whatever. And like it would just feel good for me. And then at the end of the day,
Yeah,
like
those
that's
achievements that someone tells you what they are, right?
I guess so. They're like, yeah, I guess it is external validation. It's just coming from a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that like trying to let go of that is really hard. But we've talked about that earlier. But then for you, I feel like it's a bit different because you were raised being told like you're the best at everything. And so then that way like you just feel like you're naturally talented at everything. And if you're not naturally talented, then that's when it's like, oh, I don't like this. Let's stop now.
Yeah, I would also give myself excuses where like when it came to like certain things where I would just be like, yeah, I'm just good at it and I don't really need to practice. Do you know what I mean? And then if someone practiced so hard and they were better than me, I'd be like, oh, that's because they practice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, well, that's because I didn't. If I did, I'd be better than them. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, that's just like the scapegoat.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, yeah, well, it's because I didn't practice. I'm here like, and back in those days too, when I was like trying to play ball, like, I don't know if I was just self-sabotaging myself, but like at that time, like I did smoke cigarettes as well and like go out for drinks and stuff. So I'd be like, yeah, these people are practicing, but I'm out here like I'm smoking cigarettes and I'm still killing it on this court. But if someone was better than me, that's also my excuse. Do you know what I mean? Or it's like, you know, my lungs, man, they hurt and I had a crazy night last night.
It's nice
you know
to
what
have
I mean?
a crutch.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? And so, I mean, I did all that stuff without realizing it. And like, it's kind of like cringe, like to look at it now and to think like where I honestly could have been if I did just not have that fear and just went in, like went all in, like practiced everything. But you know, you can't regret anything. So I am who I am because of what I did and who I was. So
The successes and failures.
yeah, I mean, all of that makes me who I am today. And like, if I think about the greater scheme of it all, like I'm a happy person and I'm happy where I'm at. So I can't regret anything, but like, yeah.
I guess part of it is also like when you are a perfectionist, or I guess specifically for you, when you were raised being told like you're amazing at everything, like how did you take constructive criticism? How do you take I don't even really know.
How do I take it? I get hella down on myself.
You get really upset because I'm trying to think about now.
I don't get
like,
upset.
No, because I'm trying to think about like when you've edited like the beginning of when you were editing my videos, and like when I would tell you like, oh, like maybe let's do this instead or like whatever. Yeah, you would get quite down on yourself.
I'd be like, I ain't shit.
Yeah.
Fuck this. I ain't shit. I shouldn't do this.
Yeah, don't give up.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
give
I would
up
be
so
like,
easily.
okay, notes, do this differently, change this, do this different, and then Dan would be like, oh, I'm so bad at this, and I'm like, what? No, it's great. It's just.
Yeah, I guess so down on myself, and that really like for basketball didn't work because when you're down on yourself, like how are you supposed to do anything?
Yeah.
You know
Oh
what I
man,
mean?
I see it actually. Yeah. No, I see it because when I watch you play basketball, like you will be doing great, and then you like maybe miss or like some I don't know, like you just do something to fuck up, and then I can literally see you, and I don't know anything about basketball, but I can literally see you like getting so hard on yourself and just giving up. Like I can literally watch the energy drain from your body and you just giving up while you're still on the court, and like I'm like everybody's over there playing and like you're still on this end meandering over to everyone else. Like why are you giving up? Like
Yeah, I
push
don't know.
through.
I'm an emotional guy too. I do remember this one cringe moment where like, yeah, I guess like I did something weird at practice, and this was when I was playing college ball. I did something like stupid at practice where like the coach like didn't play me at the next game, and I was sitting on the bench the whole time, and then like we were down by so much, but I'm sitting there like thinking like if he puts me in, like I'm gonna fucking score and we're gonna get like closer, do you know what I mean? But like he didn't put me in until like we were already down by like 30,
Yeah.
and there's like no way we're gonna win, and then he's like, Dayon, go in, and then I was just like so strangely offended by that, like where it's like you're gonna throw me in when we're already just losing by 30, and I was just like no.
Making up narratives in your own head.
Yeah, and I just like
Yeah.
said no, and I sat there and I got so
No.
fucking emotional. Yeah, he was so confused, and I was just like trying not to tear up. I was just like so upset,
Yeah.
and I didn't know why.
This
But
is like
just-
so unrelated to success, but like I feel like don't make up narratives about what other people think. I do it all the time, but don't make up narratives about what
Yeah,
other
that's
people
the
are
thing.
thinking
Where I
about
just felt
saying,
like
or saying
like
about
this
you.
ain't shit. Like I ain't shit.
Yeah.
What's the point? He's only throwing me in the last seconds for what? Just to give me a chance to play or something? I just like made up all these things in my head, and I was like,
Yeah.
fuck this shit, and I like didn't want to go in. But yeah, I think it has nothing to do with success.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how we got here. Forgot, but,
But-
insightful lessons.
yeah, I mean it's just like just I guess how we used to view things and how we kind of view things now. But at the end of the day, I think we're pretty successful now, and I'm in a happy place, and it's really nice that we're able to like have this life that we have and like be able to stay home with our baby and like have enough money for him to live a happy life as well. So
I would definitely say that by Nina of a younger age standards, like I would consider myself to be successful, but
Nina of a right now.
But Nina of right now, but that's what I've been saying this whole podcast episode is that, like, I think that anybody would be considered successful, based on the things that you already have. And I feel like that also is something that I learned in being with you, where you're able to really relish in the moment that you're in. And I feel like that's to a fault sometimes, because the part of me that wants to like push, go, and like achieve is like, why is Zayn so chill all the time? But then it has also taught me that like you already have so much, and like you need to be able to step back and appreciate the things that you've done and pat yourself on the back and realize how much it is that you've done already.
Yeah.
So like I would consider myself to be successful, but I think that there are a lot of other things I still want to achieve. And that doesn't mean that just because I want to achieve other things doesn't mean that I'm not successful. So like I've kind of let go of that
idea
and like of chasing this arbitrary idea of success.
Yeah.
Because it's for me now, it's just like I have different goals. And like it's not that once I hit this goal I'll be successful. It's just that I already am.
So instead of asking you, do you feel you're successful, I should just ask, are you happy?
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess also to go back to the original question that this person asked us, when did I feel this way? I think that I began to understand that I was successful once I had this understanding that I currently have right now. Because if you'd asked me, when I like booked my first campaign, when I reached 100,000 subscribers, like I wouldn't have told you at that point that I was successful because I didn't have that mindset.
Because you were still chasing it too.
Yeah, because I didn't have that mindset about it, So it really is like a lot of things are kind of mindset shifts. Like I think that I became a much happier, more successful feeling person when I had like these mindset shifts, and a lot of that is because of you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you're welcome.
Thanks, B. So this is probably a good place to stop. But you can follow us at Neens and Deens. I'm your girl Neens.
And I'm Dayon's Day Off.
And we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.